Okay. So, Jai Jinendra to everyone. Marasa आपको चरण वंदा में. In my last several lectures, I have already been telling to you that directly or indirectly, we are involved in various kind of violences and we are not aware of those violences. For any kind of violence, however, we need from our side some kind of action, and that action is actually involves a work, and the work is nothing but the energy. So whatever we do is through the energy only. And I have told many aspects of energy. However, on today, I will take in greater detail about the violence which we have been doing through the applications of electromagnetic fields. However, before that, briefly, I will tell you about the energy. What do we mean by energy? As I told that even if I take this mobile for for as an example, and if I put very close to my ear, means I am holding it. So I have taken it from my table, hold in my hand, and I am doing some action of hearing, etc., and replying through my mouth. So whatever I am replying is sound wave, which is also heard to other person on the other side. And this application of transfer of this is through the electromagnetic waves. The any kind of action which we are doing, whether we do in the farming, whether we sit down in the aircraft, we fly, or we watch the TV, any kind of thing, it is through one or the other form of the energy. This change in the form of energy is nothing but what we call in Jainism paryay. So it is transformation basically of one energy system to another energy of system. A general unit of energy, however, is measured into the joule. Joule is some kind of a energy unit which can be used in the electric as well as in the heat also. And it can be transferred or converted into other units of the energy. So, however, it is not only the mechanical energy generally which we people talk also, and many sadhus also talk to us that this is the energy, this kind of thing. It is not only mechanical energy, which is composed of the two energies, kinetic energy and potential energy. But in addition to that mechanical energy, there are many other energy forms. For example, the chemical energy, heat energy, photon energy, that electrical energy, magnetic energy, etc. So this I will discuss very briefly. I don't want to drag you into big physics and equations of all these uh, different forms of energy. Basically, kinetic, the word kinetic energy. Kinetic means velocity, speed, motion, which is involved in that. And it is always referred. So if there is any object, let us say small ball is in my hand, it is in my hand and it is of 100 gram, means it is mass, but I am holding it. And that holding that is against, means it is stationary, and it is being held by me, but through the gravitational field. But if I just throw it, means it will catch the speed. So at that time, it becomes kinetic. It has motion. So that is V is the velocity or speed. So half mv square, that is mass, m is mass. Similarly, the potential energy is mass into gravity mg, and at what height, just like that ball which I was holding in my hand, so mgh. But this has been confirmed not only by science recently, but long back in our Agams also you will find that has been told whatsoever we do, forms of energy may change, but total energy is always same and same. Means the energy is a conserved quantity and it is always constant. Now, if we talk in potential and as well as kinetic energy, then total always will be constant. Similarly, whether you talk to the heat energy, chemical energy, or any other form of energy, when you will sum it up, then you will find that in this universe, at any given point of time, at any given location, and for any given mass, what I mean for any given dravya, for any given kshetra, or at any given time, that is kal, and whatever the we want that this whole energy should transform into another way than bhav. So that is always remains and remains same and same. And this is the law of nature. This is the law of nature which governs the whole universe. That whatever the processes of transformation take place in this universe, it is under this law of nature that, that under the time varying component, this mass, that is dravya and region, changes. So whether the volcanoes, for example, comes underneath of the earth, but there some energy which was deposited, and that energy is exploded through the heat and matter, and now finally against on the surface it will be converted into the different elements, and the temperature will come down, and finally it will go into the other form of chemical energy or the liquid or any other. So what I wish to say now, that under this law of nature, that is the law of conservation of energy, the whole universe is being governed. And under this law of nature, if you remember earlier, I told that whenever the criticality is saturated, then the self-organized criticality will come into the picture and it will change the form. Nothing remains stable. And the law of instability at that time comes into picture. And that is nothing but also applies to our aparigraha. That's what I explained in one of my lectures. Similarly, now if I talk about the electric field, then electricity is basically a formed through the current. And what is current? Basically, everybody wants to know when we say current, we never see the current. That is because we never see the electron. And the flow of electrons in any cable. Can you see this cable? Can you see this wire? If you can see this wire, so when in this wire, the electron flows, so per unit time, whatever the number of charge flow, that is nothing but the current, and current is referred over here as I. Okay, so current, whatever the flows, that actually generates the voltage. And so energy is nothing but the charge into that voltage. And the electric power is nothing but the voltage into the current. So V into I is always the power of electricity. Similarly, if you want to know the magnetic field energy, so that is the mass into magnetic field. Magnetic field strength, how it is generated, etc. How electric field is generated, I will talk today in this lecture. But earlier, when I was talking about the Jalkai Jeev, that is hydrosphere, and even the other jivas, other forms of the lives, I told you about in the earlier with equations, what is the photon energy? I have to talk again today about this. The photon energy, whatever the photon comes from the sun or from stars or from the cosmos. So every photon has a different energy level, different frequency level. And when photon comes, it means that frequency or wavelength, it brings energy. So what is the energy of that photon? That it means depends either on the frequency, or frequency is inversely proportional to the wavelength. So E equal to either h nu is frequency, or hc by lambda. The lambda is the wavelength. So if the wavelength is larger of any photon, then the energy will be smaller. Please remember. And if frequency is larger, the energy will be higher. If frequency is smaller, energy will be smaller. On the contrary, again, if wavelength is larger, means energy is smaller. If wavelength is smaller, means energy is higher, photon is stronger. So these are the basic fundamental things, and photons may be of, on the electromagnetic spectrum, may be of different wavelengths. It may be X-ray photon, it may be gamma ray photon. So gamma ray photons and X-ray photons, etc., or the neutrons or the protons which are coming out, they are of very, very high energy. But whatever the sunlight we see from the sun, that is a visible light, that photon is smaller, of smaller energy, because its frequency is smaller or wavelength is larger. But still, if we go down, say for infrared or radio, etc., the wavelength will be larger and larger, and its energy will be small. But this low energy, as I discussed earlier also, the low energy radiation, let us say infrared, infrasonic, etc., they are actually stronger because their wavelength is stronger. So they are stronger in the sense, not in the power, but in order to reach to the several hundreds to thousands of kilometers. So there are different energies, have different kinds of applications, different kinds of phenomena which take place, and we will discuss today in this talk. So my first thing, as an example which I wish to give you, is that from the photon itself. So the photon comes from the sun, and the light hole falls, it just penetrates the atmosphere and it comes to the surface of the earth. Let us say our plant ecology, Vanaspati Kay Jeev Pura Jagat. So that if you see, the photons actually basically gives a light to all the plants, even a small plant or a big tree. And what happens? That photosynthesis process actually begins. And so tree takes those photons, that light, and it starts some kind of a biochemical reaction inside. It takes the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, water and soil, etc., from the land surface, and then it makes the food. Similarly, it birth in the womb of a woman, that also makes the food through the inside the soup. So what I wish to say, the first energy transformation begins from through the biochemical reaction only. And that is what we call as a ahar paryapti. I discussed about this earlier. I just wanted to remind you about this. And until unless at the process of the infant stage or the first stage of the birth, whether it is a small plant, ahar paryapti is necessary. And through the ahar paryapti only, the other paryaptis, like for a bhasha, that is speech, our language, our hearing, that is audibility, all others, even it is a single sense, ek indri jeev ho, but it will have at least 4 paryaptis. So all these kinds of paryaptis begin. Now you just see, why this Paryapti, whether it is a human body or any other kind of animal, Ahar Paryapti, what it does? Actually, basically, what we need, any life, any jeev, he needs sugar. He has to make the sugar, and through that sugar only, the other Paryaptis actually are being achieved. That is strength in the body, strength in the physical sense. It is gained whether it is plant or a small microbe or anything. Okay, every life has described or he has determined some kind of a process, biophysical chemical process through which it makes the sugar and then it evolves. In that, it basically it needs is oxygen, carbon, and hydrogen. So sugar basically means what? It's a hydrocarbon product, and for hydrocarbon product, he needs these three fundamental things: oxygen, carbon, and hydrogen. And through this, that permanent some kind of a sugar is inside prepared, and then the other kinds of paryaptis are there. So what happened total, that different elements were in different forms. Oxygen was completely as independent, carbon was independent, hydrogen was independent, but through this reaction, the bonded structure developed, and through bonds, this sugar is formed, and then it gives to the other, goes inside and develops other paryaptis. Anyway, I don't want to go in too much detail of this, but basically how this transformation of energy. So what happened, what I described is chemical reaction started. So whole as a given state, it was only in the different forms of elemental, and through biochemical reactions, the sugar formed, and then the other forms developed. So the life started. Similarly, if you see the electric fields, generally what we talk, that how these electric fields are created by, so basically they are created by differences in voltage. Then the question you will ask, from where the voltage came? Okay, so there is some kind of a, let us assume at the moment there is a voltage at one body as a high voltage and another is at a low voltage. So high voltage will flow towards and lower voltage side, and then voltage difference will be there. That is what I told as delta V voltage. So then as a result, the electric field will be generated. Anyway, I will tell you, because there is no question of assumption. But whenever, wherever this, as I told, that the electricity, that is the current flows, let us say an example in this, can you see this wire? Are you able to see? And if the current flows in this wire, means the current is flowing, and flow of current always creates the voltage around it. So voltage is generated because the current is flowing. It means current should flow. And what is that current? Current is nothing but the flow of electrons. Okay. Similarly, magnetic fields are created whenever electric current flows. How it happens? This is very good. That suppose this is a conductor in which the current is flowing. Please see, this is very nice example that how the things happen. So if the current is flowing in this conductor, then perpendicular to this magnetic field is generated, and this is a law of nature. And this Bhagwan Mahavir also knew about this, that electric field E and magnetic field are perpendicular to each other. हम लोग जो बात करते हैं मकान के लिए वास्तु, that also depends on this kind of conditions. Okay, so now the magnetic field is automatically created if the electric current is flowing. Now, the greater is the current, of course, then the magnetic field will be also greater in strength. However, what happens that even if you are keep on reducing the voltage on difference to very low, but the electric current, that if it is still existing, then it will always have a magnetic field, and that will be constant kind of it. So please remember, the electric field and magnetic field, they both are perpendicular to each other. This is very important a law of nature over there. Now, how this magnetic field actually generated in the earth itself, because earth itself is a electric conductor, it is also a magnet also. How it happened? If you remember, I told last time when I was discussing about the terrestrial and the earth itself, that the internal part of the earth, that is the core, it is very, very hot. And at the moment, whatever we say that about 6,300 kilometer is the radius of our earth. So deeper inside at 6,300 kilometer, it is very, very high temperature. I told you about the pressure, temperature, and density profiles. But the upper part, that is at the upper part of this core, there is a liquid also. Right? That is, if you remember, that whole liquid was there, outer core side. And because it is a very hot liquid, and because the hot liquid is there, so when the earth will move, so this will also circulate kind of thing. The liquid will circulate. It will make kind of some kind of a spring kind of a shape, and it will try to come up. That is what we call as a Coriolis force, or S kind of a shape. Now, because the inside so much high temperature is there, so the automatically the electrons which are there, that is because of very high temperature plasma conditions, the electrons will flow. And what will happen, that convection means heat currents, they are flowing, and they will make the magnetic field. So once magnetic field is formed, so suppose magnetic field is made in this direction, so electric field will be in this direction. So they will be perpendicular. So what I can conclude at this point, that the earth basically it is a electric field, it is a electric body, and it is also magnetic body. And it is a strong magnetic body because its north south are always actually on our polar sides, and birds and many other animals, they have their navigation system oriented with this north-south, and this earth basically acts for them as a navigation system. Please remember these words, that earth basically works as a navigator for birds and many other, even fishes, reptiles, for everyone. They understand and they follow this thing. Their mind, even including the small bees, mosquitoes, and they are better actually navigator. They understand this north-south polarity than our human beings. Okay. Now the question comes that then what are the natural? So natural, what are sources, I mean, of the electric and magnetic fields? So natural sources are basically provided from the atmosphere, and wherever the high atmospheric temperature are there, so in that electric field is generated. Let us say, for example, our thunderstorms, and similarly, as I told, in our Earth itself is a electric field. So wherever the electric field is there, then even in the atmosphere, at the given location, the magnetic field will be generated. Now, what I have to separate out the two things. One is the geomagnetic field. Geomagnetic field means Earth's own magnetic field, which I talked 2 minutes back in my previous slide, how it is formed. And the other is the local magnetic field, which is formed in the atmosphere or other places, etc. on the Earth. That is a separate kind of a localized magnetic field. So we have to be careful while defining whether it is a local magnetic field or geomagnetic field. And because of the geomagnetic field, Earth also acts as an electric field body. However, on the other hand, the human-made electromagnetic systems are there, and they are very dangerous. And that is what Bhagwan Mahavir, I think he did not tell. I have not come across. If you come across in any agam about this, I came across is only Tejas Varganas, and they are of very different kind of energies. and through that only we are talking about the plasmas and other things. However, what human has made is X-ray machine, gamma ray machines, etc., high electromagnets also. And you know that the X-ray machines are used to for this X-raying the broken our leg or foot or the limb, etc. And there are many other I mean systems are there, like TV, our this mobile phones, then inside the microwave oven, and the many other radio frequency vibrators are also there inside the house itself. So all these applications are electric applications, but once, as I told, wherever the electricity is there, the flow is there, and surrounding that magnetic field will be created. So generally, every electric application also has, it means it creates electromagnetic field. So please remember now, whatever you do, just for example, you are just using a small bulb, a very small bulb, and it is giving light, but it is using the electricity. And because electricity is given to that, it means surrounding to that is magnetic field is there. So electromagnetic field is automatically generated. Now, the problem is what with all these things? The basically the question arises now whether all these kinds of equipments of electromagnetic fields are everywhere, whether it is domestic, means in house, or even at the workplace, in the office, or in industries, or whether you are going for some kind of a enjoyment at other places, hotels, etc. Wherever you go, you are using and you are accustomed to use the electromagnetic applications. For example, the for your broadcasting or telecommunication, you are using mobile. For TV, you are using fans, you are using air condition, you are using fridges, you are using. So by using all these applications, that is what we say in scientific term, we are exposed to electromagnetic field. So the question was raised to World Health Organization, and it was a matter of concern to all over the world and in different countries of different magnitude, that whether all these electromagnetic fields are really very serious or they influence our health. And the question was raised by the people for their own health. So there was very serious issues were there. And sorry for my this thoughts. So electric currents, actually, why it should effect should be there, that was a basic question. And this is where I always have been amazed with the literature written in our agams. I don't know, but I always appreciate the meditation of Bhagwan Mahavir, that during his meditation, how did he come to know that our body itself has a very tiny but very little, but it has a electric currents inside our body, and that is generated through the chemical reactions for the food, for breathing, or blood circulation, whatever the things are, I mean, happening inside the body, and it means it must be happening in the body of other animals also, other lives. So it means every life which has a soul, which has a soul, so it must be for some kind of some level, electric current is also there. And if electric current is there, then that will react. That is what I call as a internal current or internal electromagnetic fields. and it will have a direct interconnection, interaction with the outer electromagnetic fields. And so there should be some kind of a impulse should be there. For example, our nerves always relay signals by transmitting the electric impulses. You know that when you go for your heart checkup, etc. So doctor actually takes out the electrocardiogram, ECG test, or nowadays many other things, etc. All application, but what he measures the electromagnetic signals basically. There and those signals which are coming as an output from our body. It means our body has directly always in interaction with the other applications in the house as well as in the office or in other your industry or wherever you're at the working place. It means something is always in this, and when this interaction, at what time it will be injurious to your health, that is important. If you remember, in our Jain literature, it has been recommended very strongly for fasting, upvas, and also during the meditation, the maun, that is silence. Why it is recommended? So it means really he was aware about this electromagnetic fields and electric currents flowing inside our body because of the chemical reactions, that is the ahar paryapti and other paryaptis, etc., and with the nervous system and the brain system, etc. So I think as a this is the first scientific actually reason why we should go for fasting, so that we can reduce our own body electric current, that is internal electromagnetic field, because we will eat low food, that is low biomass, so the electric current will be also. Other thing, by observing the meditation, the silence, then our bhasha, paryapti, it will be under control. And so external electromagnetic field will not be so much influence. This is what I mean the modern science versus the Jainism, I can briefly tell to you, but a lot of description I can give on this, the why this fasting is so much necessary and silence is necessary on this aspect. But electromagnetic field plays a very significant role in this. Now, if looking at all these kinds of phenomena and realizing that there is a possibility of low level to medium level to the very high level of influences of this electromagnetic field on the human body as well as on the other animals and in our whole ecosystem, in the whole biodiversity, even including the plants and insects. Please underline my these words, means whole biodiversity, whole environment, whole ecosystem must be influenced by this electromagnetic field. So if you compare almost 200, 300 years back, our nature, our earth, our biodiversity, and today, after this investigation of these electromagnetic fields, you will realize that many, I mean, insects, which we don't know because we were not aware. There was no recording system 300 years back. What were the real composition of the biodiversity? We have already lost them, and that is because of the application of the electromagnetic field. So the WHO, World Health Organization, they formed one international electromagnetic field project and invited many researchers in different countries, and it was very well funded. And even every individual country also spent a lot of money in research for this uh, influence of the electromagnetic fields, particularly on the human body. But the researchers, scientists went all the way, you see, down to the insects, influence on the insects, birds, animals, wild animals, not only restricting to the human people only. So lots of, work has been done. Much I myself have seen, at least in this last 1 week, 100 research papers. But I came to know that more than 3,000 research papers have been published in last 50 years or so. So coming to that, what are the sources which we are under which we are working? So we have many kinds of electromagnetic fields varying of different frequencies. You see, that is very important. And there have been reports for association between the health problems and the presumed exposure of electromagnetic. So many research papers, in fact, I should say 70% research papers in the early time between the 1970 and 80, they told that there is no influence of electromagnetic fields. But at that time, the electromagnetic applications were also not there. Not much air condition, not refrigerator many, no high frequency signals, required satellites, etc., or the telecommunication systems, or the radars, etc. And now the research papers after 2000, now more than 50% they say that there is a serious influence on the various kinds of, animals, human beings, and even the insects also. So that already has been discovered. I just give you one example that has regarding this that very well documented is a paper that a pregnant lady, so they did a survey on many pregnant ladies, and the child is inside the bomb, and then it was premature in many women, and they had a complaint particularly, and those women made complaint who were working outside in some kind of a companies or at their industries where the high strong electromagnetic field applications were existing or they were there. Similarly, the baby which was already baby born from those, I mean, that was also not some kind of a good baby. The third problem they found that the child was being died inside the bomb itself. So that mortality rate was also very high. Now, finally, it was then by many papers that two important after discoveries. One, as I told about the pregnant woman, and the second was with the cataract in the eye. So many people, many workers had a, finite with definite. It was diagnosed that yes, it is due to the high electromagnetic field issues. So their eyes cataract was a serious issue. Then our nerve system and in the brain tumor. So it was found in the brain also, and it was very well research paper documented that the reactive oxygen species, that is ROS, what we call ROS, it is very well known word, and generated by the effects of exposure to electromagnetic field and can damage various cellular structures and our neurons of the central nervous system. And the picture they have also given, of course, I'm not a biologist or medical science person, but at least I can understand with their whole description in that paper that electromagnetic field, and particularly why it happened. Because the people, those who talk very frequently on the mobiles, cell phones, and they keep their cell phone within the 5 centimeter, 3 centimeter to 5 centimeter, or even sometimes only directly sticking to the ear. So that is dangerous. And because of that, the waves actually penetrate the electromagnetic waves, and they actually generate this reactive oxygen species, which is very dangerous. The another effect was even much more serious because of this ROS. And what is that? That this electromagnetic field, whatever they emitted, the several actually devices. Now, if I'm working, for example, just in the front of the laptop, now the mobile is also within 1 feet, that is within less than 30 centimeters from me. Okay. And then there is a fridge, sorry, air condition is also working on the backside of me. So all these kinds of applications. So the role of electromagnetic field is critical, and it is whatever the emitted radiations are there from several devices. So they actually putting the whole depicting an increase in the generation of relative oxygen species, that ROS which I told. And as a result of that, in our head, now please see, in head, this, that is in our brain system, nervous system of that thing, this goes and it kills. What it kills? That just a minute, I will tell you. I don't know where it has gone. Uh, what we call is a brain barrier. It spoils the barrier. Okay. I think it will come that slide and I will tell you. So ROS is very dangerous. And as a result, what will happen? What will happen that you will be caught by diseases like forgetting. You might have heard the name Alzheimer's or dementia, many other problems. And even nowadays, doctors are actually, researchers are trying to find out whether the Parkinson basically disease is also caused because of the high electromagnetic field emissions or not. Anyway, here in this table, what I give is some kind of a recommended electromagnetic field strength, that is in volts per meter, from different appliances and how much it is. And the guideline limit is 5,000 volt per meter. But you can see here, it is not 5,000, but I'm considering only one. But in a one house, you know that how many air conditions we are using, how many fans we are using, how many televisions we are using, and refrigerator is of what strength, for how much many liters that it makes, then how much you are using as a this thing, your hair dryer, etc., and press, that iron, all these things. And finally, if you see that it actually exceeds the 5,000 volt per meter, as soon as, so we should always try to keep ourselves in a very minimum condition. Now this is okay. This is for me, let us say. This is all for a human being, for me. But suppose in my house, can you imagine in one room how many microbes are there? Can you imagine? Infinite number of microbes are there. Even outside to my house, my wall, just outside or within my room, maybe lizard may be also there. There may be mouse. There may be another insects, etc. Whether they can tolerate, this is the question which I should ask. If I am not able to tolerate this much electromagnetic field, means how the other animals, other microbes, other organisms, other reptiles, how they will tolerate. So what happens that they generally get killed even in the air itself. As soon as this high frequency radiations start, okay, they do not survive. So we are actually involved in killing indirectly to directly with the application of this electromagnetic fields. Similar to that electric field, I am giving in this table the magnetic field strength of the tolerance, and that is from different kind of applications, how much it is there. So if I say 3 centimeter, okay, 30 centimeter distance and 1 meter distance, how much magnetic field in micro Tesla it is generated. What I have done, dear friends, for you, that I have written in the bold letters, just like a hair dryer, electric shaver is there, these we are using within, I mean, the less than 3 centimeter, directly touching to our body, and so too much strong magnetic field. Although it is in micro Tesla, but Tesla is a very big unit, okay? And so this cold letters, wherever I have written, those equipments at a given distance, they are very, very dangerous. So, for example, hair dryer, electric shaver, they are very, even 3 centimeter, but this much. And when you put on the body itself, then it is very, very dangerous. Similarly, many other, just like 30 centimeter, okay? 30 centimeter means almost 1 feet. Many other, just like our computer screen, etc. But they all are at 30 centimeter. The magnetic field is smaller, but it is dangerous because then the radiation will come and that radiation will hit to us. Similarly, at 1 meter distance also, the TV generally, so why it is told that we should at least multiply 10 times to its diameter, the diagonal. If the TV is like this, means diagonal. So we should sit at least 10 times away from that. So that is all recommended distances and all that. Now, what already has been already confirmed and by several researchers already, many effects, as I told, that World Health Organization and even the many developed countries, they took the interest and many researchers were motivated, and they have already found that the geomagnetic field, particularly that is Earth's own magnetic field, has influences not only us, but on the wildlife, on the animals, on the plants, on the insects, and including the human beings, etc. So the geomagnetic field influences has already, even because why geomagnetic field should have so much important, why it should influence, because all our entities, that is the ferromagnetic, okay, ferromagnetic materials means iron or nickel and other elements, as well as the paramagnetic. Once when I say paramagnetic means those which have the magnetic field inbuilt inside, like oxygen, sodium, and diamagnetic, like even the zinc, magnesium, copper, phosphorus, and even in the diamagnetic, our water, DNA in the body, proteins, and everything is included, all the molecules. So geomagnetic field, now you see, I told in the beginning, during this tapa, that meditation, Bhagwan Mahavir definitely must have already observed something. That's why he strongly recommended that we should keep the magnetic field away, okay, and electric field away. However, he was not aware or he did not say intentionally about the electric field or magnetic field, but the geomagnetic field has been found. You see, it changes, it influences on the water property. So if you have a water very close to the North Pole or South Pole, or if you have a water around the equator, it will have different properties. That is what I wish to say. Simple and facilitated the ion diffusion that is across this whole membranes, the thin membranes inside our body, then this ion diffusion properties are keep on changing. So it's like that. You see, there are many that tremonium properties, our condensations, DNA replications, our genes expression, all these properties are keep on changing by the magnetic field. The other important, you see, our body has the cell cycle. That is what we call as a kinematics of cell. It is always in the motion. It remains in the some kind of a dynamic form. Okay, and that through that we enzymes are also formed through the whatever the metabolism which food are uh, paryakti. So all these also are affected by this geomagnetic field, that is magnetic field alone only. But the geomagnetic field, when I say, means the magnetic field, of course, is strong, but the electric field is always from the inside. And why it is from inside? Because as I told her in the 5 minutes back, that our body is also a small internal electric body. So that internal electric body actually interacts with this geomagnetic field, and all these effects are the have already been observed. Many kind, even the cell differentiation, for example, the osteoporosis, that is bones on the legs, etc., muscle cells, all are affected. This earlier, as I told, so this Mahavir Vani is very, very important. And what we should have done, that neither we should have been affected, nor any other animals or creatures or any other, Jiva should have been affected. So what we should do? We should try to minimize our electromagnetic field applications, because the natural source is already there, that is Earth itself, atmosphere is already there. And they are always, during that process, the many lives are being already killed through that natural process. That is under the law of nature. But what we are doing, we are trying to overcome that law of nature. We are trying to govern this all electromagnetic field application, that is transmission lines, power generation, okay, in so many megawatts, etc. So how it happens? You see, the now power generation, not only hydroelectric, but the thermal. So much coal will be used. And because of the high temperature coals, the coal will be, the biodiversity will be affected. Similarly, now, once this is all now has been endorsed, then there is a question that if it is geomagnetic field is doing so much, then the Earth has a magnet, then Sun also has a magnet. You see, the two cosmic bodies, let us say our Earth and the Sun. Sun we call as a Agni Tattva, okay? And this Agni Tattva, Sun itself, is a strong electromagnetic body, and as well as it doesn't have any solid thing. It is such a high temperature of several millions of degree Kelvin, almost 10 to the power 7 degree K, means you can say crores of temperature, almost 15 million degree K. Now, if it is so, then because as a result of such a high energy is electromagnetic field is there, so it has a electromagnetic field lines. And because of its Coriolis forces similar to the Earth, and inside the convection, that is toroidal, that is spring kind of currents are going on. So magnetic field from the beneath, it goes to the poles, and Sun is rotating very fast. So what happens? That magnetic field is split up. That poloidal magnetic field is split up into the small fields, which we call as sunspots. And because the sunspots are strong magnetic fields, strong magnetic energy, and it is suddenly sometimes released, which is we call as explosions, flares, and coronal mass ejections, etc. And as a result of that explosions on the sun, the solar wind, that is small charge at particles of low energy, almost from zero point 0.1 electron volt to some 10 electron volt, the ions, that energy is released. Many times when I was there in NASA, it was some experiments were there, and I also did my PhD on these flares and CMEs, etc. I know this field, and it was later on discovered that the flow of solar wind, actually, when it was converted into the sound, then the sound came like om, om, like that. But it was only one energy, some energy spectrum was analyzed, not all the energy spectrum. So that should have been done, but it was stopped, the whole project. Anyway, so those explosions are known as actually magnetic storm, because a lot of magnetic energy is released at that time from the sun, and it interacts with the earth, like you can see here. And it interacts with the earth's magnetic field. And when it interacts with the earth's magnetic field, then what happens, that those charged particles which are coming from the sun, they enter into this magnetic field of the earth, and they go inside, and then there are many kinds of such effects take place. And that is why I think Bhagwan Mahavir always gave importance to all the five components of the environment in which this Agni Tattva has been given a specific importance. So as a result of this magnetic storm, that is influence of the high electromagnetic field coming from the sun on the earth actually, the whole lines, magnetic field lines splits up, breaks up, and the many kinds of effects on the aurora atmosphere are have been observed, already noted down since last more than 100 years, and found that many lives, right from the microbes to the animals and even human beings, they are affected during this kind of a magnetic storms. Then many kinds of research papers which have been already done, as I told, and they have endorsed. So it's a small list. List is very small, but because I cannot accommodate in the screen, so I have taken only 5, 6 papers, and they have found that the yes, DNA, RNA, and many other proteins, and they are affected. Yes, this was the one of the another kind of slide which I was telling to you, and this is the blood-brain barrier. Now, inside our brain system, our head, there are some kind of a barriers. They are known as a BBB, blood barrier, brain barrier. Now, what is the function of these brain barriers? The, they actually do not allow the nuisance molecules to pass along with the blood, and they act as a friction wall, and they stop them, and they allow only the good molecules, only the good elements, I should say, and they restrict the entries of the other. Now, this is a normal function. I'm sitting not in any electromagnetic field. So you can say that currently my blood-brain barrier are working very satisfactorily. But as soon as now the electromagnetic field appliances are working, and I am under the umbrella of those electromagnetic uh, field applications. So what will happen? Those barriers will become weak because of the high frequency radiation of this electromagnetic field. And as a result, my barriers slowly will become weaker and weaker. So I will have many kinds of problems. One which I told, the dementia, issue of dementia, that's forgetting nature, Alzheimer's, and many other problems. So our nervous system, the brain nerve system actually becomes seriously damaged and affected by this kind of thing. So I strongly recommend that we should try to minimize this. Now, this is I am trying to do for, or whatever I'm saying is for me only, not for other animals, not for the other insects. Now, I am scared because research has already been done. It is endorsed that yes, such kind of our brain system fails. But you think over the other components of our whole biodiversity. So this is very important that we should minimize not only for us, but for other our animals, microbes, and other life structures. Similarly, anyway, I have already told about all these things. Now the new issue which is coming related to the 5G, you see, because of this application of mobile, the 5G mobile, which is coming up now very shortly. Now 5G, now I told in the beginning, E is equal to hc by lambda. Now, if lambda is smaller, means energy will be very high. Right? I hope you remember that formula which I told in the very beginning. Now the wavelength over here is very small. It is a millimeter wavelength. So if it is in working that 5G in millimeter wavelength, means what will happen? It means its energy will be very high. Even I talked just now that I'm keeping my mobile just very close to my ear, okay? And then I'm talking with the 4G, but when I will do same thing with the 5G, it means I'm trying to put myself in jeopardy, in problem with this thing. But what was the benefits? What were the benefits of 5G? Why it was so much, I mean, hulla gulla noise is there? Because 5G aims to increase the speed of data movement. I mean, say from here, let us say I am sitting here in India, in Pune, and I am talking to you. Okay. But now I wish to send some kind of a document file, and I take it granted that through email I am transferring that email file. It may take about 5 minutes to reach to USA or 10 minutes. But if I want that it should be almost online, that is within 1 second or 2 seconds, means that my transmission, data transmission movement, that rate should be very fast. It means the speed actually of the transferring data should be very, very high. That is the aim which we are doing. Means almost online kind of thing. More actually responsive and allow for greater connectivity of devices simultaneously. Suppose I am talk, let us say for a given T1 time, now using my mobile, suppose let us say 1,000 people are actually talking with the same thing. But now if I want not 1,000, but the 10,000 people or 100,000 people should be get connected and should talk to each other, required for the business and the commercial things, etc. So for those kinds of connectivity, 5G is important. This means that 5G will allow for nearly instantaneous downloading of data in few seconds relative to the taking hours at the current time. Now, how it is, why it will be beneficial? It means Internet of Things will become very fast, okay? And the massive expansion will be there. All these things, I mean, basically, if I say that it is the speed for which we are doing. Please underline my word. Speed of data, speed of talk to each other, speed of connectivity. I mean, and just compare 50 years back when there was no mobile. When I was a student in US, and I was writing only letter to my mother, and it was reaching almost 1 week or 10 days time. Still we were happier with that. So there is no end, I mean, of fastness or speed, but still the people are just behind that thing. So what I will say, another thing which is very important under that formula which I told, energy E equal to hc by lambda, and because the lambda is very, very small, so now how we will achieve this kind of a transmission? This is a very important. So what they have planned, that every electric pole or every other tower, it will be some kind of a, we call it a small cell network. That is a cell means not this battery cell, but it is a some kind of a small cell of transferring of the frequency. I mean, absorbing and radiating system, that kind, and it will be some network. So it means it will be now not very far, it will be very close to your house or even on the roof also. So everywhere it will be some kind of a radiation all over the world, I should say. There will be millimeter wave radiation, which is very, very going to be dangerous. It is a short wavelength, so very high frequency. And so it may generate even another new diseases, new problems, not only to human beings, but even to the wildlife also in the forest. So this is going to be very dangerous. This is what I believe at the moment. So already some experiments have already been done, and I would like to refer you that one recently experiment was done in Punjab University by a Center for Environment and Vocational Studies group, and what they found, they just gave very high frequency electromagnetic radiation dose between 5 to 30 minutes, okay, to the some kind of a cell tower was there, and they used that. And what they found, the eggs of the sparrows, they were disfigured. Just 5 to 30 minutes. You see, on the eggs, which the sparrows have not yet come outside of the egg, and the eggs itself, because they contain inside the proteins, and the new baby sparrows are under formation, and they all were disfigured. And the disfiguration of these birds actually exposed that for many, I mean, this kind of other experiments and such a short amount of time, that says that the 5G frequencies, 5G mobile, how it is going to be dangerous. I tell you one another example, which I have also witnessed, and it was actually done in US, and that is related to this bees experiment. Okay, so on the bees, this high voltage frequencies were generated, almost of the 900 megahertz to few gigahertz. See, please underline, 900 megahertz means it is close to 1 gigahertz. And from there to the few gigahertz means control voltage signal, high frequency signal, and then ultra high frequency signal. And all these kinds of signals, when they were given on the bees, then they were found. I would like to give you that this flavor of that experiment. In the left side, I have given a plot over there, and by shades, what I have shown, you can see that the blank white bar is of the control, that is a control signal of very small voltage. Okay, then high frequency, that is about 900 megahertz, and then ultra high frequency, that is above 900 megahertz. Now this was done with the what we call as a control to the now high frequency. It was done 1:3 for high frequency and ultra high frequency, and then the next it was done for 1:5, that is 5 times higher. That is what meaning is. Now you can check whether it is for done for 1:3 or 1:5. That when ultra high frequencies, so on the, please see now on the left side scale, and on the x-axis what we have given is what kind of conditions were maintained for this, that is the voltage, which is the high voltage given, that is frequencies, and for how many seconds, etc. So every time you will see that the high frequency and ultra high frequency mortality, that is death of the bees, is higher and higher. Okay, this is experiment done uh, already, and it has the research paper which was published long back also in 2007 or something like that. And this is what I wish to say, that this is on the bees. And I already told you earlier, please remember, the birds, bees, and wildlife, and many other birds, they all are important components, or I should say pivotal components of our environment and biodiversity. If they will not be there, please remember, we will also be not there. Paras paro graho jivana. This is what has been told. So that's why we have Bhagwan Mahavir taught us Geo or Jinedo, but not only that, we have to keep the arrangement, we have to make the arrangement, let others also, so that the others' life also keep alive themselves in this environment. And now, the most important result which came out of this experiment on the bees, that they forgot, because they have, with the earth geomagnetic field, they have inbuilt a navigation system, and that navigation system itself was disturbed because of this high frequency, and so they could not reach neither to their queen or not to their home back, and so the many bees died. And similarly, the navigation loss has been experimentally proven in many other birds also. And the navigation loss has been registered in many wildlife animals also. So this electromagnetic field, you see, it is going to be very, very dangerous. And and on the other hand, we are trying to generate more and more high power, this, I should say, electromagnetic fields through the various applications. And in this connection, I would like to say that the satellite communication through such kind of 5G or something, it will be dangerous to the microbes as well as birds inside the atmosphere, as well as in the oceans with the fish also. It will be very dangerous because we are applying the electromagnetic field not on for in the atmosphere for the aviation, but for in the hydrosphere, in the oceans, etc., in the through the ship, etc. So please try to avoid yourself as well as try to avoid the any harm to the other animals. With this, I would like to just give you a flavor and then recommend to you to read this new, very recent research paper. It was published last year only, I think 2022, and it says very clearly that how the low energy as well as high energy electromagnetic field from 0 hertz to 300 gigahertz, and they have done experiment on various kinds of species of the our biodiversity, and this whatever the result they have obtained, and that endorses, that clear cut endorses our Jainism, whatever written in our canonical text in our Agam. And I'm very happy to read this paper when it says that this electromagnetic field, which is the one of the actually, we should have not created ourselves, because already exists in the nature, and it governs, it works automatically under the laws of nature, under the conservation of energy, and we should have not developed and for our entertainment, our luxurious lifestyle, or our enjoyment, etc. With this, if Suresh has come, then I will talk to him. Maharaj Sahib, Suresh has joined now.
Whether he is available today, might be he is not present.
If he is
Today,
not present,
today
then I think we will take the questions today.
yes.
Okay,
Okay.
because his presence is necessary to address his question. Although I have already replied to you. Did you receive my
Yes.
response to?
Yes. I got the reply, and he's also given the reply. No.
But I told that he should have been here. Uh, although I can speak for
Okay.
5 minutes, but if he is there, then so we will take another time when he is there. Okay.
Yes.
So with this, I say thank you very much to all of you once again, and for my this and for your kind patience, and please convey my this new message of non-violence to all the over the globe. Take this message, and so can you see me now or?
Yeah, you can just stop sharing. Then we can talk to participants.
Okay, just a minute. I will stop sharing. Is it okay?
Yeah, it is
Can you?
okay. Yeah, it is okay.
I think okay.
So
So
I'm unmuting all the participants first, and then they can ask question. Okay, so all the participants are requested to ask any question, Professor Rajmouli. Yes, Bhatia sir.
अंदामी नमो स्वामी और प्रोफेसर जैन, ये बहुत ही इंस्ट्रक्टिव इंस्पिरेशनल लेक्चर है, और खासकर मेरे लिए क्योंकि मैं उसी फील्ड में हूँ. एनीवे, मैं आपसे सवाल पूछता हूँ. यदि बेसिकली इलेक्ट्रोमैग्नेटिक एनर्जी मानी जाए जो कांस्टेंट है, बट आपने बताया कि कांस्टेंट है एनर्जी, तो इलेक्ट्रिकल को आपने इलेक्ट्रिक पावर एनर्जी को आपने तेजस वर्गणा से कहा कनेक्टेड है, तो मैग्नेटिक किस वर्गणा से है? अपने भगवान महावीर का, जैसे मैंने हो सकता है मेरा इग्नोरेंस हो, तो उसके लिए कौन सी वर्गणा है?
तेजस वर्गणा जो है, थोड़ा मेरी बात को थोड़ा आप अच्छी तरह से सुने। तेजस वर्गणा जो है वो ही, तेजस वर्गणा ही, उसी के अंदर ही कई सारी फॉर्म्स ऑफ एनर्जी उस पुद्गल में है, और उसमें इलेक्ट्रिक भी है, मैग्नेटिक भी है। और डिटेल में कभी मैं पुद्गल वगैरह की बात होगी तो आपको और अच्छी तरह से बताऊंगा। लेकिन जैसे मैंने अभी कहा कि इलेक्ट्रिक फील्ड की बात हुई, फ्लो ऑफ इलेक्ट्रॉन्स दैट इज प्लाज्मा इज डायरेक्टली कनेक्टेड विद दिस तेजस, वन फॉर्म ऑफ तेजस। और तो उसके परपेंडिकुलर ऑटोमेटिकली मैग्नेटिक फील्ड हो जाता है। तो मैग्नेटिक फील्ड इज ऑलवेज जनरेटेड, और मैग्नेटिक फील्ड है तो इलेक्ट्रिक फील्ड इज ऑलवेज जनरेटेड। दे आर एक्चुअली coexisting at any given time, at any location and for any amount. Okay.
अच्छा, दूसरा सवाल है प्रोफेसर जैन कि ये जो भगवान महावीर का की लेस्या जो है वो तेजस शरीर से कनेक्टेड है, तो बदलती रहती हैं, वो कांस्टेंट की बात ही नहीं है वहां पर। तो अब ये है कि आप तो कह रहे हो कि एनर्जी तो कांस्टेंट है, तो
नहीं, मैं आपकी बात को समझ गया। नहीं, पूरे नेचर के लिए, प्रकृति, होल यूनिवर्स में एनर्जी इज ऑलवेज ए कांस्टेंट। मैंने ये बात शुरू में कही थी। एनर्जी इज कांस्टेंट, दैट इज अ कंजर्वेशन ऑफ एनर्जी, कंजर्वेशन ऑफ मोमेंटम एंड कंजर्वेशन ऑफ मास। ये कांस्टेंट रहते हैं। लेकिन फॉर एन इंडिविजुअल, द्रव्य, क्षेत्र, काल और भाव, मैंने अभी इसमें भी बताया था, दे आर वेरिंग। वो वेरिंग है, होती ही रहती है एज ए फंक्शन ऑफ टाइम एंड एज ए फंक्शन ऑफ लोकेशन एंड फॉर ए गिवन पर्सन और एवरी इंडिविजुअल, ये चेंज होते रहते हैं। उसके चेंज होने की वजह से, जैसे मेरे लिए और आपके लिए अगर ये अलग अलग है, तो लेस्या भी अलग अलग ही होगी। इट मस्ट बी, होनी भी चाहिए। ओके, बिकॉज लेस्या आल्सो रिफ्लेक्ट्स द ऑरा आल्सो। सो लेस्या अलग होगी, और लेस्या टाइम के हिसाब से चेंज भी होती रहेगी, क्योंकि उसके अंदर ये चीजें जो बताया, जितनी एनर्जी की फॉर्म फॉर ए गिवन पर्सन, दे आर कीप ऑन चेंजिंग। वो तो मैंने शुरू में इसलिए एक फॉर्मूला बता दिया था, द्रव्य, क्षेत्र, काल और भाव एंड एज ए फंक्शन ऑफ दिस 4 थिंग्स 12 डायमेंशन में, तो चीजें चेंज, ऑल दीज कंपोनेंट्स आर कीप ऑन, एनर्जी फॉर्म्स की जितनी भी हैं, दे आर कीप ऑन वेरिंग। लेकिन आप पूरे विश्व के लिए लेंगे और उनका सम अप करेंगे तो हमेशा एक ही रहेगा। जैसे नंबर ऑफ लाइव्स, नंबर ऑफ सोल्स, लेट मी से लाइव्स नहीं, बल्कि नंबर ऑफ सोल्स इन द यूनिवर्स ऑलवेज रिमेन कांस्टेंट
इन द यूनिवर्स, नॉट इन लोक।
नहीं, मैं अर्थ के अकेले पे पूरी एनर्जी को कैसे कंजर्व मान लूं, क्योंकि मैंने अभी बताया भी था एक एग्जांपल देने के लिए ही, कि सन से जो आती है एनर्जी और वो कैसे टक्कर देती है, तो कितना सारा विनाश तो उसमें भी होता ही है। तो वो उतनी लाइव्स को लेके चली जाती है। कई सारे लोग हाइपरटेंशन में भी आ जाते हैं। सो दैट डिपेंड्स कि आपके अंदर की कार्मिक बॉडी से आपके लेस्या का फॉर्मेशन, क्या बोलते हैं, लेस्या कैसा बंद होता है, कैसा बनती है, इट ऑलवेज डिपेंड्स कर्म बंध।
मैनी
दिस इज, आपका क्वेश्चन बहुत वाजिब, लेकिन कम टाइम में इतना ही बता सकता हूं कि इंटरैक्शन जो होता है डिफरेंट फॉर्म्स ऑफ एनर्जी का, इट इज वेरिंग फॉर एवरी इंडिविजुअल, इट इज नॉट कंजर्व्ड फॉर ए गिवन पर्सन।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद
जी।
Okay. So Aridavan Jain might ask some question. Hey, you are already unmute.
You are hanging up and calling again?
Okay. Anybody else?
Oh, yeah. I was hearing the Zoom. I didn't have it on my ear.
Yes, you can ask.
Now I have a speakerphone.
Okay.
Yeah, you can ask Hansa ji. You can ask question.
अभी आपने जो कहा लेसिया के हिसाब से अपना ओरा बनती है,
So how is Lesia getting transmitted? Is there some kind of transmission from our body out that affects our aura?
Yes.
Professor?
Yes. Yes.
How does
Lesha,
that work?
Lesha depends on, mostly Lesha works with the bhav. Okay,
Huh.
but Lesha, you know, various kinds of forms, colors are there,
Huh.
and they are the
Okay.
energy systems. They are the energy systems and reflecting our characteristics.
Yes.
Lesha is some kind of a representation of our own characteristics through our own karmas.
लेकिन वो ब्रेन से आती है, उसका लोकेशन ब्रेन से अपने शरीर के बाहर में कैसे पता चलती है और ये जो भावी होता है?
नो हंसा जी, ऐसा नहीं है।
ओके सॉरी।
प्रत्येक आत्म प्रदेश, भूल
Okay.
गए आप, मैंने बोला था शुरू।
Okay.
हर एक आत्म प्रदेश इज ए सिस्टम। एक छोटा सा हर एक आत्म प्रदेश इज ए लाइफ सिस्टम, ये समझ लीजिए। मैट्रिक्स
अच्छा।
है पूरी बॉडी और प्रत्येक जगह से आते हैं। अगर आप ओरा को देखें पूरी बॉडी का, तो भी आपको मेजर किया जा सकता है, लेकिन ज्यादातर हमारे भाव का जो है, आपको तीन चीजें हमारी अलग हैं। आप आत्मा अलग है, माइंड अलग है और कॉन्शियसनेस अलग है। थ्री थिंग्स आर सेपरेट। इनको तीनों को अलग फॉर्म में देखना पड़ता। सॉल को बहुत से लोग मान लेते हैं कि वही कॉन्शियसनेस है। कॉन्शियसनेस वो नहीं, सॉल इज न्यूट्रल। सॉल के ऊपर हमने दो चीजें बैठा रखी हैं, एक तो तेजस बैठा रखा और कर्म बैठा रखा, और वो डिफाइन करता है कि कितना आपका लेशा कितना प्रचंड होगा, कितना प्रबल होगा। ओके, वी विल टॉक समटाइम ऑन लेशियास, नो इश्यू। ओके, दैट्स, हाँ, मैंने बहुत पहले कुमारपाल भाई देसाई जो हैं, उनके लिए एक साइंटिफिक आर्टिकल लिखा था इस लेशिया के ऊपर, और नासा में इसका एक एक्सपेरिमेंट भी किया गया था। मेरे पास अगर वो आर्टिकल मुझे मिल जाएगा, क्योंकि मैं तो पूना में हूँ, मेरे पीसी में था और अभी तो मैं लैपटॉप यूज कर रहा हूँ, आई हैव टू सर्च दैट, तो मैं आपको भेजूंगा कभी टाइम निकाल के। अभी तो
वो
मई
आर्टिकल
तक
वो मुझे भी भेजिए।
जी जरूर, अगर मिलेगा तो मैं जरूर भेज दूंगा, लेकिन मुझे नहीं लगता, क्योंकि मेरे को अहमदाबाद जब जाऊंगा तो मैं भेज दूंगा, वो तो वहाँ पीसी में तो है ही।
और एक दूसरा भी क्वेश्चन है प्रोफेसर जी, जो आपने कहा ना कि परपेंडिकुलर मैग्नेटिक एंड इलेक्ट्रॉनिक फोर्स है, वो अपने वास्तु शास्त्र के हिसाब से कहा है, उन पे थोड़ा सा ज्यादा करना है। और हम अगर जैनिज्म नहीं, कोई भी साधना वगैरह कुछ करना है, तो ऐसे कुछ में बैठे तो उसका रिजल्ट ज्यादा होता है कि एनी इफेक्ट ऑन इट? I would like to know a little bit more about it if possible.
बहुत, मुझे लगता है सारी ऑडियंस में से आपने ही वो पॉइंट पकड़ा है। मुझे चाहता था कि कोई पूछे, क्योंकि मैं ज्यादा उस समय अपने लेक्चर के टाइम तो एलोबरेट नहीं कर सकता था, लेकिन अगर आपने वो पिक्चर देखी, याद रखी हो, तो एक था नॉर्थ साउथ मैग्नेट का, ओके, और एक नॉर्थ साउथ था ज्योग्राफिकल, यानी हमारा पृथ्वी का नॉर्थ साउथ ज्योग्राफिकल और एक मैग्नेटिक। और दोनों के बीच में हंसा जी 11.5 डिग्री का एंगल बनता है।
अच्छा,
11.5 डिग्री। अब आप बताओ, भगवान महावीर 2500 साल पहले, ठीक है,
हाँ जी,
उस समय तो कोई मेजरमेंट की स्कीम नहीं थी,
नहीं,
लेकिन उनको पता था कि मुझे कहाँ बैठ करके करना है, और उन्होंने अपने शिष्यों को ये सारी बातें समझाई थी। ये तो है, भले अर्धमागधी भाषा में सब समोशरण में कहा गया, बट इसका उल्लेख है कि हमें किस डायरेक्शन में। आपको भी याद होगा, अपन कभी भी मकान खरीदते हैं तो दो ही दिशाएं देखते हैं, या तो बाहर निकलते समय पूरब हो या उत्तर हो, है ना, यही करते
हाँ
हैं
जी,
ना। और पूरब जनरली फर्स्ट प्रेफरेंस पूरब के लिए ही रहती है, फर्स्ट प्रेफरेंस। ओके, अब अगर जो मैंने कहा, आप मेरा पेन देख रहे हैं ये?
हाँ जी, जी, यस
ये मेरी इलेक्ट्रिक फील्ड जो है जा रही
हाँ
है, ये कंडक्टर वायर है थोड़ी देर के लिए, है ना। तो
हाँ
इसका मतलब इसके परपेंडिकुलर ये
right,
मैग्नेटिक फील्ड बना।
हाँ
अब इसको न्यूट्रलाइज करना है, तो भगवान का कहना था कि आप सो या बाहर जाओ या जो कुछ करो पूरब पश्चिम में करो तो न्यूट्रलाइज होने के चांस। या फिर आप जो कुछ साधना करते हो और जो बैठना है, तो आप नॉर्थ साउथ की लाइन में बैठिए। आपने ये भी देखा होगा, मकान खरीदते समय हम ईस्ट वेस्ट को देखते हैं, मतलब ईस्ट साइड आउट, है ना। दरवाजा घर का फेसिंग टू द ईस्ट होना चाहिए।
हाँ
लेकिन मंदिर में भगवान को जब बैठाते हो, भगवान को जब बैठाते हैं तो वो नॉर्थ ईस्ट में बैठाते हैं, यानी वो मैग्नेटिक एक्सिस की लाइन रखते हैं। आप
हाँ
मेरी
हाँ
बात
हाँ
समझ में है?
हाँ
वो
नॉर्थ ईस्ट में पता है
नॉर्थ ईस्ट, और नॉर्थ ईस्ट को ही, अभी मेरी बात को आप थोड़ा अंडरलाइन करना, आपने पूछा है, नॉर्थ ईस्ट को ही सबसे शुभ माना जाता है। इसको हमारी गुजराती में या राजस्थान की लैंग्वेज में ईशान दिशा बताया जाता है।
हाँ जी
ईशान,
हाँ ईशान कोना
ईशान मीन्स नॉर्थ ईस्ट। तो मैग्नेटिक नॉर्थ ज्योग्राफिक मैग्नेटिक एक्सिस की लाइन। ओके
ओह
ओके।
हाँ जी समझ गए बस
अभी
11
अभी
डिग्री
थोड़ा,
है तो कोई इधर उधर थोड़े से हो गई लेकिन
हाँ, तो
मोर इन
आपको मतलब
लाइन
जो
विद
है
दैट ओके
आपका क्योंकि हम खुद भी मैंने बताया ना, हम खुद भी तो इलेक्ट्रिक बॉडी है ना,
जी
हम भी तो इलेक्ट्रिक बॉडी है। तो हमको उसी नॉर्थ साउथ के हिसाब से हमको उसमें रहना पड़ेगा। आपको फॉर एग्जाम्पल थोड़ा सा, क्योंकि आपने घर की वास्तु की बात भी पूछी, हमेशा मकान के अंदर रसोई जो है वो साउथ ईस्ट में ही रखते हैं, अग्नि जिसको बोलते हैं ना, अग्नि दिशा।
हाँ हाँ
तो अग्नि में इसलिए कि जब विंटर का टाइम हो तो भी प्रकाश उधर से आएगा, नंबर वन। नंबर टू, हवा हमेशा उधर से ही आएगी, क्योंकि जो भी गर्मी होनी है, यानी गैसेस वगैरह जो एमिशन हो रही है उनको बाहर निकलना है, तो आइदर साउथ ईस्ट और साउथ वेस्ट, उसके लिए वो नॉर्थ से नहीं आ सकती। आपको याद होगा, मैंने एक लेक्चर में प्रशांत महासागर पैसिफिक ओशियन की बात बताई थी। पैसिफिक ओशियन से ही सारा मानसून वगैरह, यानी जो वेव्स वगैरह जनरेट होकर के आती हैं और यहाँ तक लेके आती है, तो दे कम फ्रॉम द पैसिफिक ओशियन, साउथ साइड से जो पैसिफिक है। जैसे
अच्छा
आपके ये पेरू वगैरह है, फ्लोरिडा की साइड से, और
हाँ
उधर
जी
आपके ऊपर के साइड से नहीं होता है, नीचे से होता
हाँ
है।
दैट इज
वो
ट्रू
उस साइड में होना चाहिए, जबकि स्टडी का जो रूम है वो नॉर्थ ईस्ट में चाहिए। ये जो भगवान की दिशा है उसमें, और नॉर्थ के अंदर जो है वो कुबेर धन के लिए बोलते हैं अक्सर, वो तो मुझे ज्यादा नहीं नॉलेज है, लेकिन माइंड की एनर्जी के लिए नॉर्थ ईस्ट चाहिए। ये तो दीज आर द सम फ्यू फंडामेंटल्स रिलेटेड टू द इलेक्ट्रोमैग्नेटिक फील्ड्स, एंड वी
आपने
शुड।
या एक आपने कहा नॉर्थ ईस्ट चाहिए लेकिन हमारा फेस नॉर्थ ईस्ट में होना चाहिए और हमें नॉर्थ ईस्ट में बैठना चाहिए तो उल्टी दिशा में देखते हैं
हमेशा
कैसा
नॉर्थ
स्टूडेंट का
ईस्ट में
बैठ
ही, नहीं नहीं,
फेस
नॉर्थ
करना
ईस्ट में
चाहिए
फेस आपका जो है वो नॉर्थ ईस्ट में ही होना चाहिए आपकी।
फेस
जैसे मैं
करना है
बैठा हूँ, देखिए देखिए, मैं ये लेक्चर देता हूँ ना आपके यहाँ पे,
हाँ जी
मैं नॉर्थ ईस्ट में बैठ के ही देता हूँ।
अच्छा
महाराज साहब ने कहा कि लेक्चर दीजिए, तो मैंने जो मेरे रूम के अंदर जो दिशा रखी है बैठ के देने की, तो वो मेरा मुंह हमेशा नॉर्थ ईस्ट में रहता है।
अच्छा थैंक यू वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग ज्यादा डिटेल में फिर आपसे सुनेंगे और डिटेल
हाँ, मेरे को भी हर एक लेक्चर में इतना ज्यादा होता है, लेकिन बिकॉज आई हैव टू फिनिश इन एन आवर और सो,
यस
तो मेरे को सब चीजें कट करनी पड़ती हैं, एंड आई हैव टू,
देयर इज
जिसको
अ लिमिट
स्पाइसी स्पाइसी बोलते हैं ना, इस तरह का टॉक देना पड़ता है। वेरी जी।
Yes.
एंड अदर
थैंक यू
क्वेश्चन?
Yeah.
नहीं
Okay,
थैंक
sir.
यू थैंक
Any
यू
other question? Okay. So I think today might be some people had some word and they could not join. Otherwise, there would be some more question. But
Our audiences keep on reducing, right?
no. It is not the matter actually. Might be today they are engaged. Otherwise, always 25 people are joining the lecture.
Okay.
Yes.
Only my concern is not that audience, but those
Yes.
who do not attend, they will miss that important
Yeah,
points.
they will miss. And no, it is available online for them. So as soon as the lecture is uploaded, it is received by all the participants at once.
Okay.
So
And,
almost 72 people have applied for this course, so they might have seen all these articles and also the videos.
And kindly send once again the links even up to date today,
Yes,
maybe
yes.
on tomorrow, day after, whatever. Okay?
Yes, yes, I will send.
Yeah.
So thank you, Professor.
Thank you,
Rashmi,
thank you, thank
for
you.
all the wonderful lectures. They are
हमारा सब चरण वंदा में
they
हाँ.
are so
Charan Vandana.
knowledgeable, so informative, and this
Super.
is what we have to understand in present time, because we have already passed that time of Mahavir, and now
Yes.
that kind of violences are also going at present also, but we people, especially the Jain people, are not so much engaged in those type of things. We are using some types of other things which are also causing a lot of violence, and for that we have to understand all these talks, where we can be conscious and can be what we say restraint on by using all those things. So this is what is the main purpose, and also we are perceiving here that how Jainism is being received by scientific people, also by the people of science. And Professor Rajmal Jain has already been working in the field of science. He is working on Jainism, might be after finishing his what we say his job, but maybe he is still active in his job.
Still active, because still 4-5 students are there doing PhD and still keep on coming. But now I am saying no, thank you very much. Now I am not taking students anymore.
Okay. So it is great that Professor Rajmal Jain is very much focused on Jainism, especially the history, the archaeology, and also the non-violence. So that is very great for us. And we are planning to organize one conference, international conference on non-violence. Professor Rajmal Jain, you have to guide in that also. But how we can make that conference more fruitful, successful, and how good people can be connected. And we should work seriously on this matter.
Where you are planning, in US or in India?
In Mumbai, and maybe some university of USA would be collaborate in that conference. But right now we are thinking in Mumbai. Since
Samriti, a question.
there
Sorry.
is Chaturmas of Acharya Shri Mahashamanji in 2000.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, so that's why we are planning for that. We have already organized almost 10 or 11 conferences on non-violence and peace action, focusing on the global issues.
Yes. There is some question by Hansa, I think.
No, I just said, आप लोग जैना में कुछ कर रहे हैं in that is happens in US, अपना जैना ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, उनकी मीटिंग एवरी अदर ईयर होती है ना, तो उनमें आप लोग पार्टिसिपेट करते हैं? Shamni ji?
Are talking about, oh yes, we are participating, and this time we are part of Jaina convention.
इस बार तो फ्लोरिडा में ही है.
It is because all the JVB centers of Orlando are involved in that, but to organize this event. Yes. So we are now part of Jaina convention.
That is very nice.
हाँ, मुझे तो इनवाइट किया नहीं है, इसलिए मैं कह नहीं सकता.
वही मैंने कहा,
sorry, don't worry about it. I will talk to the team members, the organizers.
And now I'm able to answer a question. So let me try this. Now it seems to be working. So let me ask a question in that, because it's about to end. So as usual, you solve the problem.
Okay, so should we finish here?
Bye.
Thank you again, Professor Rajmal Jain.